I've got a story for you. Sadly, it's not one of these. I've done them enough. This story is about someone called Sally, a lovely lady who contacted me about 5 or 6 years ago. Now, Sally ran a travel business, she still does, and was very, very good at it. She runs an excellent firm with great feedback. But Sally didn't know too much about digital marketing, so when it came time to get a website built, Sally went to a fairly reputable firm and asked them to build her a website. And they said, "Of course, Sally, we can build you a website. Can you do some SEO for me? Can you get this site ranking?" And they said, "Of course, Sally, we can do just that." So all seemed to be going well, and Sally had a website that was ranking and it was getting leads from SEO. But the one thing Sally didn't know is how much she should have been paying for all of this. You see, Sally had paid for the website, she'd paid for the SEO, but the SEO agency had added a commission that Sally would have to pay for every lead that it generated through this website. The downside is they hadn't given Sally access to the website. They hadn't given her access to the analytics. So she had no idea which leads were coming from their work and which leads were coming from repeat custom, direct traffic, all this type of stuff. This meant that Sally was paying commission on every single lead generated through her website. That is rubbish. That is a disgrace. Now, luckily, this story, like all of these, has a happy ending. We were able to rebuild Sally's website for her and free her from this horrific contract. But that's just one of the mistakes that you can make when you get a new website built. And there are 5 more. I've got some great stories to share from you from my experience over the years. Number 5 is really scary. So, if you're sitting comfortably, let's begin. Here's my thinking. A website should basically do 3 things. It should be rankable. Secondly, it should set a good first impression for your business. Thirdly, your website needs to convert traffic into leads or sales. I would argue that any website that isn't designed to do these 3 is bad. And therefore, any firm that is consistently building websites that aren't designed to do these 3 is a bad agency. So the question is, how do you avoid bad? I've got a joke for you. Have you heard the one about the website that missed its deadline? Yeah, you have. Websites are ridiculously complicated things to build. Trust me, I run a company that builds them and I've built a fair few myself. The thing is, a website project is not a single piece of work. It's actually loads of different disciplines all contributing and co-mingling. You've got design, you've got development, you might have technical integrations, you've got SEO, you've got content writing, tracking and analytics being installed. All of these are potentially different specialisms. And anytime you're working with so many different inputs, you need a really clear process. Just to give an example, when we're building a bespoke website here at Exposure Ninja, we use a 7-step process: research, wireframing, design, development, pre-live quality checks, post-live quality checks, and post-live performance improvement. We've even got an entire video on how to plan a website. So if you're going to choose a web design agency, I would ask them, what is your process for building a website? And you're listening for hesitation or blagging. They should be able to tell you exactly what their process is, and they should have standard operating procedures for each of the phases in that process. If they don't, they either haven't built enough websites yet, or they are total chaos people. And you do not want total chaos people building your website. And by the way, you might be thinking, isn't there a clear conflict of interest here, Tim? You run a company that sells websites and you're telling us how to find a website development agency. Feels a little bit sus. Yeah, well, yeah, I hear you. Here's the thing, 200 million active websites out there. Exposure Ninja, we're good, but we can't rebuild all of them. And when we're running the digital marketing for our lovely clients, we'll often spend a lot of time and energy battling poorly built websites from elsewhere. So actually, it really does help everyone if websites are built by firms that know what they're doing. All right, want another story? A few years back, I needed a website built for a personal project, and I decided this is going to be a really good opportunity to test Exposure Ninja's team against an external web design firm. So I sent the same brief to the Exposure Ninja team as an external firm that I found. Now, to my amazement, the external firm got back to me with a full design for my site within about a week. I was stunned because the Exposure Ninja team would take much longer than this to build a design for a site. Whereas the external team has put this beautiful design together, which looks really cool. It had loads of great colours and loads of design aspects that I really loved. Alas, it was not meant to be. All that this firm had done was taken one of their standard design templates, changed some of the colours, put some of the images in, changed the logo, and whacked it back to me. There was no understanding of the business, there was no understanding of the target audience, they hadn't spent the time doing keyword research, they hadn't understood the market. They didn't understand what the sales process was or how to position the first step in that sales process with a call to action. They didn't understand how to remove the objections someone might have to requesting that call to action. This site would have gone live, it would have looked good, but it would have done nothing. Ouch. If the website design firm doesn't grill you on a phone call that lasts ages, or send you a ridiculously long questionnaire asking for loads of information about every aspect of your business, something's wrong. At Exposure Ninja, we do both. We send over the massive questionnaire, and we can hear the clients in their heads going, oh, and then we get them on a call and grill them in even more detail, because we need this info if we're going to build a website that represents your business, rather than just switch the logo out on some template somewhere. Here's a question for you. Do you think it's better to have your website built by a firm that only builds websites in your industry? Or do you think it's better to have your website built by a company that works across lots of different industries? Let me know in the comments below. Now, the trend was a few years ago that you'd have these industry-specific website firms. For example, if you're a dentist, you would go to one of these firms that just designs websites for dentists. And in their back end, they would have the 5 different designs of websites with their pictures of the teeth, and they would just switch out the name and switch out the logo and rewrite the text, and there you go. You've got dentist website number 5. The advantage for the web design firm, of course, is that they could churn these sites out very, very quickly. They could focus their marketing to sell just to dentists. Very easy to do, very scalable model. The advantage for the dentist was that they were working with a firm that understood their industry, at least on a surface level, and they could write copy which sounded native. Now, I actually started this way myself before the days of Exposure Ninja. I used to build websites for tradespeople, so plumbers, heating engineers, electricians, gas engineers, and I'd have a standard website layout, and then I'd just switch out the text, change the details around for the business, and I could build these sites very cheaply and sell them very cheaply because they didn't take very long to do. But it really wasn't until a few years later when we'd scaled Exposure Ninja a bit and started building and working on websites in different industries and across e-commerce and lead generation, where we started to realize how much we'd learned about digital marketing and conversion rate optimization specifically. Then, when we got a large trade company coming through, we realized we were bringing a whole new game to that project. And the great thing about digital marketing is there is lots that can be learned from different industries and applied in spaces that have never seen that stuff. So for example, we found that the benefits bar that you'd see on an e-commerce site actually can work quite well in lead generation websites. We found some of the objection handling that you've got to do on a legal lead generation site actually could do really well if it sits on the right hand side of a checkout page in a 2-step checkout, because as people are going through 2 steps in the checkout, they might get bored and drop out. So if we can objection handle and keep them in that process, show them a testimonial, that can improve the conversion rate. So what we found is that broadening our digital marketing knowledge across lots of different industries actually made us better than when we were specialized just in one industry. And by the way, if you want an amazing example of how this kind of broad knowledge across lots of different industries can lead to really useful, specific advice for your industry, check out the free website and marketing review linked below. One of the team here at Exposure Ninja will take a look at your website and your competitors, and they'll map you out a process to generating more leads and sales from your site. They'll do this even though they might not have deep knowledge about your industry, because what they're really doing is they're drawing on their knowledge of doing hundreds of these reviews in every imaginable market, and they're seeing the things that have worked in this business over here and this business over here and for this business, and they're rolling them up and seeing how they could apply to your business. So it's really simple to request these free marketing reviews. All you need to do is click the link below or go to exposureninja.com/review. There's a questionnaire to fill out the info, and we'll usually send your review to you within 2 to 3 working days. It's totally free and it's killer. So go and grab it now. Not having any hobbies, friends, or social life leaves me with about 22.5 minutes per day leisure time, and I like to spend that leisure time looking for businesses to buy. And one morning, a broker sent me a really interesting opportunity. This business had developed this e-commerce platform themselves. They had then sold clients onto this platform, so each client had their own website, but they were all using this bespoke platform. The problem is that the company didn't have the resource to maintain the platform anymore, so they'd had to take the difficult decision to put the company into administration, and they were looking to sell the assets.
But it was almost impossible to buy this business. The only person who knew how to run this platform was the person who'd built it, who was no longer going to be involved. So all of these clients had bought their own website, built on this platform that was now going to be obsolete.
Yesterday they had a fully functioning site that was generating purchases, but today the platform's gone, the company's in administration, and their details are being sold off to the highest bidder, who's just going to pitch them on getting their websites rebuilt.
That sucks. Now, I've nothing against agencies that specialize in building websites on one platform. Of course, it makes sense to develop your skills in one area. But where I do have a problem is where those agencies are advising clients to build on that platform, either because they own it or because it's the only one they know how to build on. You should get a website on the platform that is right for you and for your business. You shouldn't have to choose your platform based on what specialism the agency has or the code that they've built, which they want to lock you into. That's not good selection criteria. So when an agency recommends that you use a particular platform, make sure you understand the reasons and make sure that they actually make sense for you. So choose your platform carefully, and I would advise always pick either something that is open source like WordPress. The WordPress organization could die, but WordPress as a platform would live on because it's open source. Or back a big winner. So something like Shopify, which has built up such huge market share that it's unlikely it's going to die anytime soon. Okay, let's talk branding. Your site needs to look good. It's the first impression, it's your online shop front, as cliche as that sounds. So it needs to make the right impression. In our seminars and in our videos, we'll show people two websites, website A and website B. Website A looks disgusting, website B looks amazing. We'll then ask the audience, which of these businesses do you think has a better product? And they will all say, website B. We'll say, which of these businesses has better staff satisfaction? They will all say, website B, the pretty one. We will say, which of these has cleaner staff toilets? They will all say, website B, the pretty one, it's surely the best business. Doesn't matter what we ask, website B is always the winner. The punchline, of course, is that they are a before and after of the same website. But everyone in the room has judged website B as being a better company, and we all do this. We are hideously judgmental creatures. We are making snap assessments on very small visual criteria of everyone that we meet and every product that we buy. It's just who we are. So I would always advise a business that's about to go into a website redesign to make sure that they've got branding guidelines that they are really happy with. Do you love your logo? Do you love your color scheme? Is it up to date? Are you proud of it? Do you have your tone of voice, the keywords and phrases that your business uses in place? Because your website is going to be an extension of your brand guidelines. This is why we'll sometimes do a brand guideline refresh as part of a new site build. So the thing to look out for with a bad web design agency is they will focus on their designs rather than your brand image. Or they won't even care. They'll just build something that's technically sound and slap a logo on the top. Here's the secret in the web design industry. You've got two types of people. You've got the creative design folk and you've got the technical development folk, and there is almost no crossover at all. Not just with skills, like socially, they are completely different breeds. And in the course of running Exposure Ninja and interviewing hundreds of candidates, I've known precisely two people that could both design and code. They are the unicorns, you will not find them. Now, most small agencies have a personality. They're either predominantly technical or they're predominantly design. You want to make sure that whoever is building your website has both the design creative capability and the technical capability, because the designers will often focus purely on look and feel without the technical and without the code and integrations. The development folk will focus on all of that technical stuff, but they'll make it look like garbage. You need both. Oh, hi. I've got another story for you. A few years ago, a solicitor's firm reached out to me. They just had a new website built by this incredible French design agency. This website was beautiful. It was a work of art. It had done things with HTML that I didn't even know was possible. It had won Webby Awards. This thing was heralded as the future of the internet. It was stunning. Quite an experience. But I said to the guy, Mark, you're going to have to rebuild this. Because when somebody is looking for a lawyer, they are not looking for a groundbreaking HTML experience. They are looking for someone who is good at what they do, that can help them, and they're looking for the next step in the sales process that they can take to actually get this problem fixed. When they are in legal pain, the number of Webby awards won by the design agency that produced the website is not in their top 1 million criteria. So yes, your site needs to look good. It needs to make a great first impression, but above all, it needs to convert. It needs to turn traffic into leads and sales, and your web design agency needs to be ruthlessly conversion and user experience focused. Oh, sorry, I was just subscribing to the Exposure Ninja YouTube channel and clicking the like button on this video. I've told you some of the mistakes to avoid when choosing a web design agency. The next step is to start planning your website. Now, we've actually put together a video with a step-by-step process that you can follow, which is based on the process that we use at Exposure Ninja when we are building our websites. You can check out this video just here, and it goes through each step of the planning process to make sure that when you're building your site or having a firm build your site, you get the most from that experience. So you can either follow this process yourself or check that your website design firm is using this process or a version of. Until next time, see you soon. I've read that one 100 times, maybe more.